Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Stock. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Today I would like to go over some of the activity that we saw in the stock market and some of the stocks that I'm keeping an eye on for tomorrow in the markets and also somewhat over the long term. So stick around for that and let's get ready to rock. Welcome back. For those of you who are interested, down in the description is a link to my Patreon. By going over there, and if you decide to sign up, you'll get access to my growth portfolio, my dividend portfolio, my weekly watch list of stocks that I put out there. It's a mix between stocks that I am looking at for the week and also stocks that are suggested by the patrons that are over there. So I pull all of those together and put those out, and there's usually somewhere between 20 and 30 different stocks that we take a look at, and we get some pretty good winners out of there, but then we also see some that end up falling pretty hard. But the nice thing about watching them go very red is that oftentimes if we get some of those, well, then we can also watch them bounce. And market conditions like we saw today, like with the financial industry, for example, with financials being down, being in the reds, well, any financial stocks that were in there were also likely to have that bias, but that also leads way to buying opportunities. So that's just another one of the things that we do in the Patreon. Every week I put out a newsletter that you get access to all that stuff. There's also a private Discord that you can be part of, and you can go and you can talk stocks with the people who are over there. I'm usually in there throughout the week also talking with people, just bouncing around different stock ideas and talking about different aspects of investing. So it would be great to see you there. I better move on. That link is down in the description if you would care to take a look at it. Also down in the description is a link to Webull. By signing up and depositing $100, you get 2 free stocks. I get 2 free stocks for the referral. Thank you ahead of time for any support that you show, and thank you for watching this video. If you like these videos, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Let's get on to the stocks. So the first stock that I have for you is Bionanogenomics, ticker symbol BNGO, and the genomic space itself has been down a lot recently, and I talked about this in a previous video. If we look at PacBio, or we look at CRISPR, or we look at, I believe it's Innovatus, and if we look, or maybe it's Invitae, I always get the two of those confused, but if you look at those and compare them to what we see with Bionanogenomics, that they're all moving somewhat together. It seems to be a little bit more exaggerated with BNGO because it is a smaller company, it is a lot more of a spec play. And if you're interested in a spec play and you're not invested already, this might be one that you want to consider. It is one that can be seen as a very good complementary service to the genomic space, and if they get more into diagnostics. And I believe it's identifying variations in single nucleotides. I could have that wrong. Check that. I'm not a biologist, so you might want to look into that and see if I'm talking about that correctly. But when you read the research on it, there's a difference between it being a complementary service versus being revolutionary, and the single nucleotide is the thing that differentiates it between the two. So, and that would be more on the R&D side. That's nothing that they offer yet. So right now, they have a good shot at being a successful company with what they do, but they can be a great company if they can continue to develop and identify variations further, and also if they get more into the diagnostic and clinical side. Their earnings are coming up tomorrow in the after hours. I believe they report at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time in the after hours. So that's something that we want to watch for, and you can see recently it's been trading sideways, and that's a great thing. We want to see it hold its price as it goes along. If we get good news, and I anticipate that we should have probably some of the best news that their company's given so far coming out with Q4. Now, I don't know if it'll beat expectations, but if it does, if we get a good beat on expectations and they give a good outlook for 2021 and also for subsequent years, 2022 into 2023, depending on what kind of news they bring to us, we could really see a big spike in their price. We might even see a run up to the earnings tomorrow, and depending on the news that we get, it could either sell off, or we could see it if it's really exciting news, if we have huge beats on revenue and on earnings that just smash the expectations, then we could really see a spike in those after hours trading, and that could even lead way into Wednesday's trading day. So this is one that I think that you should keep on your radar. If you're invested in it, tomorrow could be a very good day in the after hours. If you're not already invested in it, I think it's a company that's worth reading about. It's one that I checked into around the end of December, between $1 and $2 a share. I think I bought in My first position was just over $2, but I don't exactly remember anymore. I made my money very early on before this thing ever even broke $10 a share, and I have a small position now in my growth portfolio that I'm just holding on to. And I think right now I'm sitting at a bit of a loss that went along with this most recent sell-off that we had, but this is a long-term speculative play for me. And as of right now, it's still a company that I think is worth staying invested in, so I'm going to continue to be invested. All right, the next stock that I have for you is Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, NCLH, and this one is one of the cruise lines that I really like. There's also RCL, CCL. You can take your pick. I know that a lot of people like RCL, and there's a lot of talk about them resuming their cruises. They're trying really hard to get the approval in order to resume, and so far there have just been delays that keep on pushing back those dates. I think most recently some of the dates for some of the cruise companies at the end of March, I don't remember if that was CCL or NCLH, but that got pushed back till May. So they're getting really, really close to being able to sail again, and they've taken on just tons of debt, and they've really had to streamline as companies in order to be able to manage that debt. I think they also did some refinancing to extend the terms of their existing debt that they had going into the pandemic. So they're not the same companies that they were before. And if we look at the weekly chart, I mean, we just had this fall off from where it almost topped out as a $60 company, and then the pandemic hit and dropped all the way down to $7 per share. And I actually owned some of this. Actually, I was also invested in CCL for some of it as well, that I kind of put across the different cruise lines, and I made some money early on during the pandemic as those started to recover off those oversold periods that I had. And there's still a lot of uncertainty, that flirting with bankruptcy, so there's definite risk that goes along with the cruise lines. I think that they're going to come out of this. I think it's going to take a while before they regain their strength. I think in the short term, we could at least see that 20 to 25% upside from NCLH, making it back up to the almost $34.50 per share that we had. And a short-term gain like that, I think it would be perfect. I think when we see that they are allowed to resume sailing, that a ship actually sets sail with people on it, as those are going out more and more regularly, we're going to see that as a catalyst in the stock prices. And the cruise lines typically tend to somewhat help each other out. So good news for one can be good news for all of them. Bad news for one can be bad news for all of them. So those are things that we're looking for. And I think where the price is now for NCLH makes it a prime location in order to think about taking a position if you don't already have one. I think my position for NCLH right now, my current position, is somewhere around the $23 or $24 mark, and with it sitting at 28, I'm in the money on this one. I'm green on this one, but I also think that we're going to, as long as we have a strong market bias with it, I think that we'll see this come back around. Right now, the news out of Europe with some of the economic issues that it's having, or the pandemic issues that's having, is really sort of hampering the travel stocks in general today, and I think that's why we see that red where we saw green so much in so many other places. That's not going to last forever, and I don't even think that it's really going to continue to be sustained at the levels that it was throughout much of 2020 and into early 2021. I think as we get into the later spring and into the summer, we're going to see the strength come back to these stock prices. And so this is why I wanted to bring this stock to you now. All right, the last company that I have for you is AVGR. And with AVGR, this is another company that I talked about when they were in the low, about $1.40 or so range. So I wasn't the earliest to the game on this one, but I am right about the support levels that you see here. And today, I think we hit the $2 mark at one point, or we were close, $1.97. And then even if we look in the after hours for this, if we look intraday, we're going to see a similar story. They are presenting at an investors summit coming up. I believe tomorrow is when they present, and there was also a report put out for atherectomies, which is one of the things that they do. They make catheters and imaging devices for peripheral artery disease, and they are also within the next 2 years going to try and get reapproved or get their devices approved for coronary artery disease as well. And they are currently ranked, I think they're 5th place, but I know Boston Scientific is number 1, and then they're down number 5. They're a smaller company, but they are the only one that has the internal imaging the way that they do, and I believe that they're also the only ones that pretty much zero out the radiation exposure on behalf of the doctor and very much minimize it for the patient. So there's a lot of things that I like about this company. I could see them being an acquisition target by a larger company. That would be, either way, would be phenomenal for me. I think that their technology, to me, it seems revolutionary. I currently have some correspondence out to a vascular surgeon to see if I can get some feedback there for this sort of technology, see if it's something they've heard about, something that they'd be interested in using, and I'm waiting to hear about those results, so hopefully I get something back. If not, I'll try again with a few more vascular surgeons and see if I can get some traction going between somebody who's in the field who works with peripheral artery disease and see if this is something that they've heard about, that they're interested in, if it's even something that they would deem necessary, or in their professional medical opinion, how they would feel about a technology like what they have with the Lightbox platform and the catheters that go in and actually go through and remove the blockages that are in people's arteries, and really see just how big of a company and how big of a revolution this would be, or how necessary it is in the space. For everything that I read about makes them seem like they really have a leg up on all of their competition, except for the size of the company itself. It seems like they really need to ramp up the size and the ability to distribute their products and manufacture their products. So this is one that I keep an eye on right now. Currently has a price target of $2.50, a 12-month price target, and so I'm holding on to this one, and I think that we're going to see some good things throughout 2021, and I really think that over the next 2 years that we could really see this thing go up multiples from its current price. So let me summarize. BNGO, I think their earnings will come out the strongest that they've ever been. I think their year-over-year numbers will look great. I don't know if they'll beat expectations. I'm hoping that they do. I really like the company. I really like their fit in the genomic space, and I really think that R&D, as they continue, and FDA approval for a diagnosis and treatment, I think would also be huge if they get into the, I believe it's called single nucleotide structural variations that they're looking for, structural variants. That would be something that's said to be revolutionary for them. Again, that would be R&D. It's not something that they currently do, but that would also change its fit within the genomic space as far as I understand it. It's not my area of expertise, so please do your own research and due diligence on it and see what you think. This stock could easily go back up to that $15 per share that we had, and really depending on the earnings and the outlook that we get through that earnings report, that could really guide how this price goes. If it's negative news, we could drop down, pretty hard from where it's at, because it is a speculative play. It is a small company, a growing company. They've raised a lot of cash this year, and so they should have enough for a decent cash burn over the next couple of years from their current position. But also, if we get those big spikes, you could also expect more capital raises to really dump into that research and development end to really grow into the bigger company that they might be capable of being. NCLH, Norwegian Cruise Lines, they're one of my favorite cruise stocks. I think that right now would present an opportunity for a short-term play as well as a long-term play if you like the cruise lines. You go ahead and take a look, see what you think. To me, I see it as a quick 20 to 25%, so I could go extra heavy to capitalize on that if that were something that I believe would happen. Also, something I do is just hold on to it long term and let it come back to that strength that it had pre-pandemic. That is pretty much 2x price from where it's at now. That would be years off. That could easily be 5 years or more off from where it's currently at, depending on the debt load that they've taken on and how much they've refinanced over time and how much they've also slimmed down. So becoming the sort of company that they were pre-pandemic would be what all that relies on. Finally, Avenger. We'll see what they have, what all comes out at the investors conference. We'll see who picks them up, who wants to dump money their way in order to help them grow. I absolutely love their product compared to the other ones that I've read. I like the idea that the patients and the doctors don't have to be exposed to as much radiation, and it sounds like they're imaging devices that help look inside the peripheral arteries for the treatment of peripheral artery disease, and also applying that to coronary artery disease. I think that gives them a much greater market opportunity, and I really hope that they're able to find that scale one way or another and that market penetration in order to really grow into a much larger company and really smash that $2.50 price target within the next 12 months, and then in the 12 months that follow, or even 24 months that follow, maybe hitting that $5 or $10 mark. That's too far out to really say. one step at a time for a small company like this, but I really think that they have a lot going for them with their Lightbox technology, and I believe they're on their third generation of that this year. I'm not sure that it has FDA approval. It either does or it's soon to be approved by the FDA. So you can check into that. You can do your research on it. Those are 3 companies that I like. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to check out my Patreon, the link's down in the description. If you want to check out Webull, sign up, deposit your $100, get your 2 free stocks. Support the channel. I appreciate anything that you could offer, even if it's just your viewership. I appreciate it. Anything I can do to help. Finally, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, share with your friends. Remember, these videos are for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research and due diligence. Contact a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. I'm Dr. Stock. Thanks for rocking with me. Now go get that money.